Well, we're approaching winter of 2023, and it's been a year since I've started this YouTube channel. I've learned so many things along the way about how to craft a better video and also about how to make things more enjoyable on my end. Besides tackling audio, which is an absolute nightmare for me and completely out of my depth, the most important thing that I've learned about making these projects as enjoyable as possible, for me that is creating weather-appropriate clothing. I definitely spent the better part of last winter sewing clothes that were not warm enough and then just powering through really brutal conditions, making the reveals. Now, if you've watched this channel before, you know that creating the reveals is the best part for me. I think that's because deep down, I had always wished that I could be an actor on location in beautiful costumes and amazing settings, creating awesome, memorable scenes and films. So the reveal is kind of like a tiny little version of that. It's the best I can do to approximate that experience. And I will power through almost anything to get something good. And nothing I've created so far even compares to the movies that I'm talking about, but you know, it's the closest that I can come. And each time I learn just a little bit more, I challenge myself a little bit more, and I feel like I can see the progress from where I started to where I am now. And that really excites me because that means that hopefully I will continue this forward momentum, and who knows where I will be 5 years from now. So today, in celebration of my 1 year on YouTube, I am going to be sewing a weather-appropriate coat because I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm also going to be sharing some of my favorite reveals that I've captured along the way. I have this beautiful flannel wool fabric that I've been holding on to for years. I think I got it through fabricmart.com. I'll put the link below. It's a really cool company. They sell deadstock fabrics. And I've just been scared to use it. I've never worked with wool before, and I really, really love this flannel print on it. So I'm just nervous I'm gonna mess it up. I don't really make coats. I'm kind of intimidated by that too. So combining that with cutting into this fabric, and once I use all of the material for the coat, I don't think I'll have anything left over for a second project. So this is kind of like hit or miss. Either I create something that I'm gonna like, or I create something that I regret. And hopefully, since it's my anniversary, I will create something I like. But if I've learned anything throughout the years, anniversaries usually equal drama. So we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely ready to dig in and get started. Okay, this project is taking far too long, and I know it's a big project. There's a lot of moving pieces. Everything is really long, and then I have the lining and the coat, so I'm basically sewing the coat twice and putting one into the other to create the final garment. But I think truly what has been consuming most of my time is just everything outside of this project. Life has been a little too much recently. We have a couple of birthdays happening, holidays happening. My work has been excruciatingly busy and just so overwhelming. And then the hawk that kind of lives local to our backyard has discovered my chickens. And we've had lots of chicken drama and a death and a lost chicken, and you know, I've had to rework the coop and their run, and that's just been kind of trumping almost everything else because it's a life and death circumstance and I'm really trying to fix a problem. So despite all of that, I am getting in an hour here, an hour there, working on this project, and this is how far I've come so far. Wait, this is how far I've come so far. So far, this is how far I've gotten. So far, this is what I've gotten up to. We have the lining, and again, so long, so much. And again, I'm using deadstock fabric for the lining. This is 100% linen. I've had this linen for a while. I made a cute pants jumper thing with it before, and I still had enough to make the lining for this coat. Well, almost enough. I didn't have enough for the sleeves, so luckily my mom just had some random weird mildly wool seeming fabric that is also beige that I'm gonna just use for the sleeve part of the lining. But I'm really taking my time. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, especially at this distance, but I'm top stitching all of the seams here, and I am zigzagging everything so it doesn't fray. My head's probably cut off in this. I can get some mirror shots. I just love the split in the back. I'm so excited to sit on a horse and see how that lays. So here's the lining. Honestly, this jacket is too much fabric. It's kind of annoying. And then we have the main coat, and I have to be careful getting into it. One, I made it so fitted that it's challenging to get the arms through. I finally realize now why in like posh British movies that take place in the olden days, people are constantly getting their coats put on and taken off for them, because I really think it's a fit issue, not a wealth issue. I mean, clearly it's wealth related. Poor people are not gonna have other folks dressing them, but it's kind of challenging to put on some of these garments that are fitted and kind of pinned and tucked in weird places. I haven't fixed the sleeves yet. Honestly, the part of the project that always is the turning point for me is when I put the sleeves on a garment. Usually prior to putting sleeves on, I'm really liking it, and then once I put the sleeves in, I kind of don't like it anymore. And I'm on the fence with this one. I think it's completely salvageable, but I've done all these additional steps to try to have the sleeves kind of poof in a formatic? That's not a word. Expectable? No, what the fuck am I trying to say? I've put all this effort into trying to have the sleeves kind of poof in a very specific way, and so far it hasn't done that. So there is the actual sleeve. Like I said, it's hard to get on and off. There's the actual sleeve, which has all the gathers. You saw me put those gathers in. But then there's this sleeve header, which, do you see this little extra piece of fabric here? This too is gathered just like the top of the sleeve, and it goes in and under, and it's meant to kind of support and provide structure for this excess fabric. And maybe because I never use interfacing or, you know, any kind of support to create stiffness, it doesn't do its job, so that could be my fault. But to rectify the situation, I've ordered some boning, and I've never used boning before. I'm kind of excited, and I had this idea of sticking, like here's my hand, this will be the boning, but sewing the boning into the sleeve to actually create that stiffness. It might not work, but it might work. And if it works, it'll be pretty cool. So once I have this sleeve completely kind of poofy in just the right way, I'm gonna go ahead and attach the sleeve to the lining, put the lining into the jacket. It'll hide the boning, it'll hide the ugly insides, and then I'm gonna have what I think is turning out to be a really pretty riding coat. I am, of course, going to try to film the reveal on a horse at my local horse farm where I take lessons every Saturday, and I'm just excited to see it in action. Okay, so things are a little rough around the edges right now. The heat in this office space broke yesterday, and this is where I work my full-time job and also do all of my crafting and recording for YouTube. So I'm out here about 10 hours every day, and it is freezing because it's just a converted back porch. So there are lots of windows, no insulation. I literally feel like I'm inside an icebox. I do have this space heater back here. I don't know if you can see it or if I'm covering it. I got that this year because of how cold this office has been historically with the working heat. So now I just have the space heater, and it's not doing it. So we have that happening, that little drama. I pulled out my back, so there's that. It hurts to breathe. I still managed to go to horse lessons this morning. I was nervous I wasn't gonna be able to ride, but I did. But I'm feeling it now. So, yeah, breathing is challenging. This is gonna be a downer, by the way, I'm sorry. This recap is an unpleasant recap, but I will remain optimistic despite all of the negativity that I am spewing at the camera right now. Let's get back to it, shall we? The reveal was a huge disappointment. I had super high hopes for filming a beautiful reveal where I was in my riding coat and I was just really commanding the scene, being a kick-ass horseback rider. I wanted to go fast. I wanted the flaps of the jacket to be, you know, going in the wind. I had all these high hopes, and I wasn't able to achieve any of them. Basically, we had a finite period to film the reveal because we had to rely on the schedule of the horse farm where I take lessons, and everybody's busy this time of year and lots of things going on. So my horse instructor managed to wiggle me into a short time slot where it was about like an hour before sunset, and I don't know if it was the combination of it happening to be like the coldest day of the week or the fact that it was almost nighttime, but the horse that I ride, his name is Chance. He is a grumpy old man on a good day. Well, he was in rare form, and I've never experienced him so moody, so stubborn. He bit me not once, but 3 times. He had never bitten me before, so that was new, getting bit by a horse. Actually, a lot of things were biting me, and they were biting my new jacket, which I felt a little precious about because I do kind of like it. The jacket biting was one thing, but then he really chomped on my hand at one point, and thank goodness I was wearing gloves or he would have broken the skin. So he was just nasty and edgy and moody, and my young daughter who films my reveals was completely spooked. She did not want to be near him, and so she kept running from him, and you know what that does to the film and the footage. She has an amazing eye for these things, so we did manage to get a few shots that I could kind of put together to create some semblance of a reveal, but I literally just spent most of the time being like, whoa, whoa, and like managing him and then her fear, because I think they were feeding off of each other, and I think that the two of them combined were just kind of egging each other on in a very anxiety-inducing situation. So I just called it. I was like, you know what, it's not worth anybody getting hurt. I started getting a little nervous about the whole thing, and I decided to just forget about it because the project's already been taking so much longer than anticipated to actually complete. I just threw together what I could to create the reveal. I had really hoped that it was going to be something awesome and magical in celebration of my 1-year anniversary, but to date, it's one of my least favorite reveals that I've ever made, and I'm stuck with it, and you're stuck with it, and I apologize. Now the coat. Sorry, taking a deep breath and it really hurts. Actually, I can't take a deep breath right now because I guess my muscles wrapped around my lungs are spasming. So I'm just gonna hyperventilate through this recap here, but basically the coat was incredibly challenging. Sewing it felt like wrestling a frickin' octopus. I just had to like wrap things around me to get them out of the way of the machine and shove things in weird, I can't explain it, but it was really challenging to sew. I don't think I ever want to make a lining again. Fitting the lining into the jacket and having everything lay perfect and not be lumpy or pull on things in the wrong way, I found really hard. I'm actually not completely done the jacket, but I'm done enough where I could film this crappy reveal. So I have to go in and I want to hand stitch every little piece connecting the jacket to the lining. I have done the whole top portion of the coat, but the bottom portion, basically like from here down and around the whole hem, I wasn't able to hand stitch yet, and I just machine stitched it, but there's a bit where it kind of flaps open, and I'll try to get a visual to show you because you're probably like, what the hell are you talking about? And fair enough. I have a feeling that this recap is just as challenging, convoluted, and junky as the rest of this whole process and video. So I guess long story short, I'm a failure, and whatever, I'm gonna get back on the horse, no pun intended, and I'm gonna keep going, and not every video can be amazing, right? I think the jacket has potential, but the lining really messed me up. It's really hard to get in and out of. It's so heavy, it feels like I'm wearing a dead grizzly bear, but it keeps me warm. And whatever I did with the lining in the arms, it's just kind of like a mangled nightmare inside of there, and it's not very functional with any kind of bulky clothing. So it's like I almost have to wear lightweight clothing under it just to be able to wear this heavy coat, which if you think about when you're wearing a heavy coat, it's also cold outside. So, you know, you're not gonna wanna wear light clothing. So in a way, the jacket is a bust, but because I think the silhouette is pretty and I love the fabric, I don't really wanna give up. I can always try to do another lining. I can always try to fix it. So I'm gonna hang on to it. I don't even think you got to see the buttons that I sewed on, but I love them. I always use brass buttons, and I had these really big ones for a coat that I was just hanging on to, and voila, I got to use them, so that's exciting. Not everything is negative. I am happy with some of the different features. So I think I'm just going to wrap it up by saying overall, for this, but you know, for moving forward, and that's where I'm gonna end it. Now, if you've made it to the end of this long, mildly painful video and you're still here, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. As you may be aware, I would love to be able to do something creative like this for my career. Right now, YouTube is just a hobby for me, and it's just something that I do because I love the process most of the time. But if there was any way that I could gain enough of your support to turn this hobby into a career, I would tremendously appreciate it. So that is my exhaustive way of saying thank you so much for your support. And if you could like and subscribe, it means the absolute world to me. And if you want to leave comments, I love talking to you guys. You always have such insightful things to say. You're always helping me figure out my problems, providing support when I'm feeling low. It's just really nice. Everybody has been so nice so far, and I'm really grateful for that. Yeah, I hope to see you again, and I hope to see you soon, and I hope that my next project is not near as challenging as this one. So until next time, bye.